Welcome to the evolution of the revolution that is the Andrews Hub in Australia. As we look to the future, to our expansion to 100% 4K, it's been an amazing journey since the inception in 2017. Importantly, it's people that make pictures. Some very talented people have been involved, and let's have a listen to what they've got to say. Here's Mark Seeger.
I guess you have to look back at 2016 when we were talking to Fox Sports originally around centralised production. No one was really doing it then, certainly not at the scale of Tier 1 sport. I guess part of our sell to Fox Sports, we'll build 2 facilities for you, we'll centralise everything. Started from there. Why did we decide to build an IP? We had this concept of anyone, anywhere, and that's basically the concept that says you should be able to do your job anywhere on the network so long as you're connected to the network. I remember all the early conversations with vendors with, no, we can't possibly do that, it's not ready. And of course, you break through that because we want to innovate, we want to try and push the boundaries of the technology. But as I sit here on this side of the project, you can honestly say it was 100% the right thing to do.
And the hub journey continues. At its very heart is TFC. It's our homegrown control system, and it was born out of necessity. Manufacturers couldn't supply what we needed, so we developed our own. Let's hear from Dan Murphy.
Everything was all new, 2110 was new, and one of the big challenges we had was we had all of this equipment that we had to control, where previously we had a big monolithic router, now we had like hundreds of devices across the network to control, and so we started creating solutions to bridge the gap where solutions weren't out there in the marketplace. As I was writing the original base code for TFC, I was thinking of a name that could kind of capture the whole idea of a traffic cop controlling things and coordinating everything and orchestrating, and I was a big fan of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid, and so the idea of calling it the Fat Controller came to mind, and that was the code name that we used amongst ourselves, and then eventually it got nicknamed TFC and the name kind of stuck.
So we had the Sky Sports F1 contract come up. The current control systems weren't giving us what we needed. So there was this need for a better control system. There was nothing like TFC, so we just built it.
And so TFC became this kind of glue that sat in the middle of traditional control and the control of the actual software-defined network and the orchestration of all the devices and everything that makes up a broadcast.
So IAAF was an amazing project. We connected Yokohama to Sydney. We covered a 30-camera event remotely from here. You know, you're talking about 8,000 kilometres, 122 milliseconds of delay, and it was completely flawless.
We had the gear back here in Australia, and we had operators in Yokohama, and it was operating across that WAN. As the operator sits in front of their normal console, so they'll have their normal EVS controller, the hardware might be anywhere in the world, let's say, the feel for them is exactly the same.
We're really proud that in just a few short years, we've produced a really great broadcast controller. We delivered the first full-scale centralized production 2110 facilities. So no matter where you are in the world, NEP has the solution for you.
When COVID hit in Australia, it hit hard, just like it did everywhere else. But importantly, centralised production enabled us to deliver those great sporting moments, not only to our clients, but to fans around Australia. It was hard going. We effectively lived in 8 separate countries, not 6 states and 2 territories. We couldn't move people and facilities between states. But centralised production enabled us to keep that heartbeat of Australian sport going. Let's hear from the Managing Director of Seven Melbourne and Head of Sport, Lewis Martin.
We didn't want to just do a product and hide behind the challenges of COVID. We wanted to not just survive, we wanted to thrive. We decided we needed to get in front of those ever-increasing border limitations, and so the hub, not only did it present a degree of comfort and certainty, but technically, we also discovered that it was robust.
I have to admit, this anyone, anywhere concept, 20 people anywhere, it was a thing, and we really were sold on that whole thing. But through COVID, that shaped up into something way bigger.
Double-header matches at the one venue connected the truck to the hub, and we had separate control rooms. So what that meant, we didn't have to worry about people crossing borders on a day-by-day basis and moving people around the country. That was getting more and more difficult. So sure, there may have been lockdowns during this time, but for the hubs, it was business as usual.
The relationship we have with NEP, to me, is a true demonstration of what people talk about when they talk about partnership.
The financial and economic benefits for centralised production are obvious, but more importantly, there are environmental benefits. Because we're travelling less people, we're using less things, less fuel, less flights, and also then there's an ongoing impact in a positive way on people. Less travel means more time at home with your family.
You wouldn't know the difference whether you're on site or whether you're in the hub. On site is just a small crew, cameramen, audio, and a few technical people, but the main production staff, producers, directors, DAs, replay operators are all in a hub.
Centralized production means that we can tie together resource and use it more efficiently. So one vision mixer can be used on multiple productions across a weekend, and by reusing this equipment and by centralizing it and getting more efficient in our usage of equipment, we're actually cutting down our overall carbon emissions.
When we started this, it was all about reducing people's logistical movements. I think we can safely say that we achieved that, but the next generation of that is to reduce it further. So have less people on site again, and we're doing that by introducing this hybrid grip concept, one truck on site.
So this will be another TFC-controlled facility, which will allow us to bring the sources into the hub from NEOB without any issues.
I see that as a really good stepping stone into reducing the environmental impacts, the amount of moves that we're doing. It has huge impacts everywhere, good, positive impacts.
This is a story of leadership. This is a story of innovation, but more importantly, it's a story of amazing people doing amazing things. Let's see where the rest of the journey takes us.